This is a reflection on why I'm generous with my church. Usually if we ask someone to do a testimonial, we say they only have to speak for 2 minutes, and I get a little more time. My husband and I were invited to come to the UUCP about 30 years ago by some of the first friends we made in this town, John and Ann Norton. They used to come to church regularly. My husband, Dan, and Ann were in a few science classes together at the U of I. And they were two of the top students, and they were naturally very curious about each other. The first time the Nortons invited us to church was to a pledge dinner, which took place in this sanctuary. All the chairs were pushed aside. Tables were then carried up the narrow stairway, set up and filled this room, and then the chairs were pushed back in again. Dishes and tableware were all toted upstairs by the volunteers. Volunteer cooks provided the main dishes, the salads, the breads, the beverages, and of course the wide array of delicious desserts to follow. The sanctuary was decorated, and there was singing or entertainment of some sort. It was a big deal. It was a lot of work for the volunteers, and a lot of fun. We brought our whole family, our 4 kids, and I remember feeling self-conscious that we were taking almost a whole table by ourselves. John and Ann sat at the table with us. There were pledge cards on the table, which John explained to me. This was a new experience for me. I was unfamiliar with the workings of a church. I had no idea that the people of the church, any church, pay for the operation of the church. The salaries of the minister, the secretary, the director of religious education, the employees' medical insurance, the utility bills of the building. We did not make a pledge to the church at this time. But we were intrigued by the church and the accompanying beliefs. And I had said to Dan during his medical training that I wanted to find a church to belong to and to raise our daughters in so they would have the foundation of knowing what they believed in. We began attending this church regularly with our daughters, some of the daughters participating in youth activities, some more than others. They all see themselves today as Unitarians, whether they come to church or not. I believe it was Margaret Dibble who called me on the phone about a year later and asked me to chair the pledge drive dinner.
Oh my God.
Can I see Margaret? I don't think she's sitting in here. I declined serving as chair, but I agreed to be a committee member to learn the ropes. Some people minimize the value of committees, but I have found that I like being a member of the team. I like working with others to accomplish a goal. This church has had a long discomfort with talking about money. When we went through the year-long discernment process of imagining the future of our church and what we wanted for ourselves and our community, what really resonated for the majority of us was that we wanted our church to be accessible to everyone who wanted to come in. It was hard for some people to climb up those concrete stairs to get inside. We had a ramp, but people had to go outside, down the ramp and around the building to come back in downstairs in the fellowship hall. And there was no ramp to get up here to the podium. We embarked on a multi-year journey of planning with an architect. We hired a consultant to help us with approaching our congregation to ask them for the contributions we were going to need. I had been part of the annual stewardship team for some time, and I wanted to learn more about how to comfortably talk about money and I wanted to learn how to ask for money more comfortably. We hired a consultant, Rachel Maxwell, to guide us in the financial aspects of our project. Rachel taught us about bringing our values and beliefs to the fore, and that spending our money is a way to express those deeply held beliefs. We can look around this building and feel great pride that we raised the money to construct this building where everybody who shares our values is welcome and can come inside. This is the time of year when we ask you to think about what you can do for this church. It is certainly not all about money. It is about generosity. Generosity of time, generosity of talent, generosity of treasures, and generosity of money if you've got it. I love my life in the church. I've grown so much. I love being on the team with you. Please consider how you can share yourself and your talents and treasures with us. I'm asking you from my heart.